Two guys either side of 50 with one dream to achieve middle-aged sporting glory. This is the Missing Links Golf Show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Episode 20 of the Missing Links Golf Show. My word, this is an exciting moment. I'm Steve Hinks. I'm joined for the 20th time by Andy Walker. Andy Walker, welcome to the show.
Hello, Mr. Hinks. We're out of our teens. So next week is the coming of age, 21.
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
It's come around very quickly, I've got to say.
It has, really.
I don't know that I'm quite ready for that. That sounds like quite a big deal. We might have to have a party. We'll have to do something to celebrate. Potentially.
I'll be out your way fairly soon, so maybe we should.
Oh, it's a good point. It's a good point.
Up and maybe have a celebration of some description.
Oh, yes. I think I've got just the thing for that as well, sitting in the wine rack.
Yes, may bring something to add to the wine rack as well.
That is outstanding. That is outstanding. The only issue with that is that pre-Macquarie Cup or post-Macquarie Cup, because as we have experienced previously, that can bring with it its own challenges.
Well, certainly we've been talking about having morning rounds in the Macquarie Cup. So
I'm glad you said morning rounds and not morning reds.
Definitely not morning reds. No. Alcohol and golf doesn't really go too well for me.
No.
Never been a drinker on the golf course, and when I have, it's just gone haywire. So I learned pretty early that wasn't for me.
No, I think that's fair enough, and particularly in a stroke event that we will be playing, that could go pear-shaped very quickly. But Andy Walker, episode 20, as you know, we do like to begin each episode with a segment that I've now renamed, no longer listener feedback.
Okay.
Now decided to rename that based on our developments in episode 19. This episode will henceforth be known as the Voice of the Pilgrims.
Nice. I like it.
Yes.
I like it.
So anyway, here we are, Voice of the Pilgrims. And fittingly, the first message from the pilgrimage caravan says, very simply, love being called a pilgrim.
Nice. Well, look,
nice.
I think it's very fitting. I mean, we're all pilgrims on this journey that we've decided to go on. So, so it's not a journey; it's a pilgrimage. So
it's a pilgrimage. There's a journey involved, but I think a pilgrimage infers that it's more than simply a movement from A to B. But there is a series of experiences along the way.
And I certainly think that anyone that's got the golf bug has definitely joined the pilgrimage along the way.
Oh, you'd think so, wouldn't you? You'd think so. I mean, it's definitely not a straight journey. We know that to be a fact.
No.
Not only on any golf course, but certainly on any hole. It's generally not just a straight journey from A to B. There's a few adventures along the way. That's the beauty of it. It's the beauty of it.
It is.
Yeah. But look, I have another piece of feedback, indirect feedback, I'm happy to call this. It is from someone who I am confident to say is a very good friend of the show. Someone that you may have heard of, fantastic golfer in his own right, gentleman by the name of KJ
Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah, KJ.
Excellent.
KJ out there tearing it up on the seniors circuit at the moment on the Champions Tour. KJ says this, and I feel that this may resonate not only with you, Andy Walker, but indeed with pilgrims all around the world. And KJ says, in society, there's a notion that says you can't do that at your age. But I want to break such stereotypes. It's not a matter of achieving your goals, but the spirit of challenging oneself to accomplish something and the effort to build such determination. It will never be easy, so let's go.
Nice. I like it.
Let's go indeed, KJ.
Yeah.
Well
Yeah.
said.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm.
So what are your thoughts on Anthony Kim's last round in the Live tournament, talking about sort of
Oh,
someone who's sort of taken some time away from the game and come back and
did he shoot a big
starting
5 or 6 under or something like that? Was that?
65.
Yeah, what a
65 he shot
round
in the last round. Yeah.
in Hong
Yeah.
Kong.
After a dozen years off the tour, he's come back and just sort of lazy 65.
Game's changed a bit in 10 or 12 years, I feel.
Mm,
But apparently class is permanent, Andy Walker.
apparently.
So they say. Um, that's a good effort. Well done. Well done, AK. So I'm assuming that talking about KJ reminded you of AK. Was that the link?
It did. It
Yeah.
did actually. It did. It did. So
Yeah, nice.
nice, nice couple of rounds coming from those two blokes.
No, absolutely. But I mean, I love the sentiment, and I what I like is that KJ, and I guess AK in his own way, is talking about the concept of never giving up.
Yeah.
Which I think we've talked about a few times, Andy Walker, I believe, might have been a lesson learned from your old man at some point in time.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Look, I mean, persistence and resilience, two of my favorite words that have developed over my life. And yeah, definitely taught by my old man just to never, ever, ever give up.
It's a bit of a common theme. It's a bit of a common theme, and I like it. And the whole giving up concept, I was thinking about after I read KJ's quote. Okay, so bear with me on this, but where I'm going with it is that I was thinking about the concept of giving up and whether or not it is in fact a learned behaviour for humans.
Mm.
I don't think it's something that we're born with.
Mm.
And the reason that I think that is because if young kids had the resilience and perseverance of most adults, then nobody would ever have learned how to walk.
Yep.
But you don't see kids giving up.
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm not a big believer in human nature. I know a lot of people talk about human nature.
Or the nature versus nurture debate.
Well, I'm a believer in human habit.
Mm-hmm.
And your life has a tendency to revolve around your habits rather than what nature, what your. I mean, look, there is obviously people have natural tendencies for different things, but I think that the habits that you form and that you get into every day and you repeat every day, they're the ones that really direct your life in a really big and meaningful way. And if you can work on just changing your habits, and it doesn't have to be big, a few little changes to your habits every day will snowball into something that's pretty significant in 5 to 10 years' time. I think it was Anthony Robbins who I first heard it from, who says that most people overestimate what they can achieve in 12 months, but underestimate what they can achieve in a decade. And I'm a really big believer of that too.
Yeah, that's an interesting quote. Excuse me, that's an interesting quote. The power of little things and repeatability. And I think drawing into that, Andy Walker, what you're sort of saying, one example, if on a daily basis you allow yourself to take the easy option, at times when maybe it doesn't really count.
Yes.
Then it's incredibly difficult to take that harder path that you need to take in the times when it does count.
Yep. And look, I'm trying to teach my kids to do their best at everything, regardless of whether that's making their bed in the morning or cleaning their teeth, right through to doing schoolwork and doing their best in their sporting endeavors. Because I believe the way that you do one thing is the way that you do just about everything in your life, and that flows through. I listened to a podcast, a finance podcast, and the guy, and I'm sure he won't mind me sort of saying it, but he talks about world-class basics.
Ah,
And
I like
and
that concept. I like that.
like I first heard that, and it took me like a couple of seconds for it to sink in.
Yeah.
And it was just like a light globe. And I just went, wow, that's just such a powerful concept.
Yeah.
World class basics.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
I
It
mean, when you
is.
think about it, there's so many ways that you can apply that in the game of golf. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously
for sure.
in all sorts of aspects of life, but we're here obviously talking about golf. So let's try and relate it to that. But world class
Yeah.
basics,
Mm.
world class basics has got to be things like preparation for the round, looking after your clubs, practice, preparation, pre-shot routines,
Yep.
short game, short game, short game.
Yep.
Um,
Or even little things like, because I stretch every night. I
mm,
spend sort of 15, 20 minutes stretching. And it's really easy at times for me to just go, oh, I'm just going to go to bed. I'm really tired.
yeah,
But I try and get through it. Even if it's sort of only 10 minutes, I still try and stretch every night. And I find that for mobility and
yeah,
just that functional flexibility, I find it to be a significant benefit to stretch.
yeah, yeah. Interesting. I didn't necessarily envisage KJ's quote taking us down this path, but
Yeah, well, there's a lot of quotes like that people have come up with, but yeah, they're a couple of the ones that I'm a pretty big fan of. Another one is Michelle Obama when she said you can have everything in life, but not at the same time.
oh, Michelle, it's just an
Yeah,
absolute little droplet of wisdom, isn't it?
yeah,
Um,
yeah, and I really believe that too. It's really I think work life balance is a bit of a fallacy because there's cycles that you go through, and
That's an interesting point that you
yeah,
raise. Okay, because I want to jump on that because one of the things that we often talk about and that we've battled with is it's not necessarily work life balance, but it's squeezing all of the important things that you want to achieve
correct.
into the time that you have available.
Yes.
In this particular situation for us, it's our golf development activity. So it's practice, it's play, it's all these sorts of things. And I think, we've come across some conversations recently where a lot of people battle with this.
Yeah.
And,
Yep.
particularly people that have got full-time jobs at a relatively senior level, certainly by the time you're, sort of nudging 50 in our age bracket, a lot of people are working at relatively senior levels with a lot of commitments, a lot of responsibilities, quite often family commitments as well. And the question is, do you surrender your goals to actively pursue your obligations? Or is there a way where you can actually manage both and not have to give up your dreams, not have to give up those ambitions, but also not renege on the obligations that you have either to career, family, and anything else that might be there in your life? So that's a big topic that we've been rubbing
Yeah.
up against for
Yeah.
around about
And
the
look,
last
I'm
20
a big
episodes.
yeah, I'm a big believer in planning. I've got a calendar, both a work calendar and a personal calendar. And I sit down, well, certainly from a work perspective, I sit down at the start of the quarter and I plan my workflow out and how I'm going to deal with all my clients. I mean, I couldn't deal with what I have to deal with if I didn't do that. But putting golf in there as well has been a pretty big, I guess, revelation to being able to play a bit more consistently, because that's again
Mm.
what I've been trying to do. I've been trying to not only sort of plug in my client visits, it's also being able to put golf in there and block time out for golf.
Mm.
Because I think that if you don't take that strategic approach, and that this is where I really like Josh Nichols, his practice plan
Mm.
and
Mm.
that concept. And I still haven't gone down that path yet, but I am going to buy his custom practice plan and go through it with him to be able to, as you said, squeeze every bit of time and every
Yeah.
drop
Yeah.
that I possibly can. Because yeah, for me, it's about sitting back and going, okay, how do we make, we've got 24 hours in a day, 7 days a week. How do we maximize that time that we've got to be able to fit as much in as what we can?
Absolutely. And I'll tell you what, we could drop the link to Josh's information in the show notes again. I know we did it in episode 18 where we had him on as a guest, but there's no harm in doing it again now. Andy Walker, to answer your question, how do we do it? All right. I don't think anyone's cracked that nut, but I was having a bit of a think about some of our conversations before, and I do have sort of a 4-step strategy.
Right.
For what it's worth.
Okay.
To share. Yep. You got to have a strategy. Definitely helps. This is not groundbreaking stuff. Okay, so just ease in.
I was ready for some profound new system that we were going to release to the pilgrims.
No, I don't know that we're quite there, but I do think there's something in this, and I'd like to unpack it with you and get your thoughts on it, because I actually think there's some value here. So step 1 of our strategy. And again, like, this is about how do we go about not giving up on the things that are individually important to us when we are overwhelmed, sometimes from a time perspective, with the obligations that we need to meet, then, work, family, etc. Because there's something there. So now, number 1, and this is a bit that actually a lot of people don't even do this bit, and that is actually have a goal. Identify what that goal might be.
And write it down.
Yes.
Not just have it in your head. Write your goals down.
Yep. So have the goal. Actually spend a bit of time dreaming about it. Not just, it'd be great to play a bit more golf or, that sort of thing. All right, well, let's actually have a goal. What does that look like? For a lot of people, that might be, I want to get out once a month for a social hit with my mates. Totally fine. Might even be less than that. I don't know. It might be I want to get out and do a bit of practice. In our case, it's I want to have a crack at some seniors events at some point in the distant future when I turn 50. So that's step 1. I think it's very important. Step 2, and I would say for everyone that gets to step 1, congratulations. For those who get to step 2, it's probably less than half of those that have made step 1 will get to step 2. And that is, I know, Andy Walker, one of your favorites, is make a plan. Actually come up with a plan. Not just, so we've got the goal, but now we want a plan of how we're going to do it, when are we going to do it, how can I squeeze things in? If I've got 15, 20 minutes in the morning, if I've got half an hour in the evening, I know I get one Sunday afternoon a month, or whatever the case may be. Let's make the plan. And again, write it down.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, I think there's a couple of different concepts with goals that I've heard of. One is outcome-based goals, and then the second one is process-based goals. So for me, from what it sounds, step 1 is your outcome-based goals. Step 2 is your process-based goals. Am I sort of on the right track? Thinking?
Yeah. I think that's another way of saying it. Yeah, absolutely. Because really, what I'm trying to say, step 1 is go, what is it that I want to do, and step 2 is now how am I potentially going to move towards it. So outcome and process. I think that's it. Step 3, this is an interesting one, and this is a lesson I've learned in the last 20 episodes. So I'm a fast learner. You may...
How many hours is that?
It's going to be nudging 30, I reckon. Step 3, and I think, again, important, and I would say the drop-off in each of these steps is significant. Step 3 is to make yourself accountable.
Yes, very, very important. And that's where I think we've sort of got, we've ticked a couple of boxes in that we've jumped on and sort of got each, are accountable to each other, but then also accountable to the pilgrims. I mean,
100%.
I think that.
I don't know about you, but I flatly refuse to let the pilgrims down. They're the most important thing to me in this.
Absolutely.
It's all about the pilgrims.
I like it.
So, we're on board, people. Don't you worry. Make yourself accountable. Now, that could be in a variety of ways, okay? Like accountability, you don't have to start a podcast, but if you do, that's fine. Just send us a message and, maybe give us a mention in your show. That'd be awesome.
We'd go on to someone's podcast.
Yeah, happily. And you know what? Come on ours. If you want to make a declaration of accountability, then give us a call. Come on and share your goal and your plan with the rest of the pilgrims. That's not a bad way of doing it. You don't have to come on the show. That might be a bit scary, but you could definitely drop a note on the Facebook page. or in the other any of the other social media areas. But that to me is a big one, and it could be just as simple as telling somebody else what it is that you want to achieve. Because I think sometimes you have a goal, it's a personal goal. You can even make a plan how you're going to go about it, but the telling somebody else is a scary moment because it does hold you accountable, and it does mean that your failure becomes public if you fail.
Well,
and there's a lot of fear of that.
The other part of that is that there's also some vulnerability when it comes to sharing what your goals are and what your dreams are with someone else, because at the end of the day, you've got to make sure that that person is going to be supportive of that goal, and no, not everyone is supportive of people's goals and ambitions. They see, if someone achieves that goal, especially if it's a pretty lofty goal, they go, well, they'll feel pretty ordinary about themselves that they don't have the same goal or haven't achieved the same goal. But then they'll go, well, is that going to change that person? So,
goal jealousy. Are we referencing goal jealousy? I like that.
Yeah. So there's a number of, I think when you're having a conversation with someone about it and you're sharing goals, I think there's certainly an element of you've got to make sure it's the right person that you're sharing those goals with.
That is a really good point. I agree. I hadn't really thought about it from that perspective, but absolutely, when you share a goal, because a few things can happen. Someone can get on board and go, yeah, absolutely, you can do that. Quite often, though, you also get the, I'm not sure. You sure about that? I don't think you're quite up to it. And now that can be from a whole lot of places. That can be because you happen to be talking to someone who themselves is a fixed mindset thinker.
Yes.
That challenges your openness as a growth mindset thinker, because I think to go down this path, you probably have a growth mindset outlook to actually want to try and achieve something. So you might run up against the fixed mindset thinker that shoots you down. So you got to think about that too. How am I going to combat that if I run up against it? And the resilience of hanging on to your goal and still believing in it if someone else tells you you can't do it. KJ talks about that, like you can't do that at your age. There's that notion in society. That's part of his quote. So I think that's actually really a good point.
Right.
But the jealousy part's really interesting because it's, particularly if you're talking to someone, they might have been a friend for a long time and you're saying, I want to achieve this. And then that maybe feels like you're leaving them behind a little bit.
Yes. Definitely.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah. There's a lot to that because there is a lot of people who have, they're not happy with themselves and what they've achieved. Therefore, they don't necessarily want other people to achieve as well. They find some level of satisfaction with other people failing, and you see it, in social media all the time. We had a brief conversation about, because we both started watching Full Swing.
Yes.
And I watched episode 5, I think I watched last night, which was about the Fitzpatrick brothers.
Right.
And Alex Fitzpatrick, since obviously Matt won the US Open a couple of years back.
Are there spoilers here? Are there any spoilers? Because I'm only up to episode 2 at the moment.
Okay. No, it's just general concepts.
Okay.
But Matt has copped a lot of backlash in social media, basically saying you're not good enough, you're not as good as Matt. And that's
Alex. You mean Alex has copped the backlash?
Yeah. So sorry, Alex has copped the backlash, saying you're not as good as Matt, and that's had a pretty big impact on him.
Wow. I mean, firstly, who cares? Because he's his own person that's got to follow his own pilgrimage.
Yes.
And he's also a quality golfer. So no question about that.
Yeah, he is. He is. But that's a really good episode, actually. I think that it's episode 4, which is called Mind Games, which they talk about. That's what's the guy that won the US Open last year? I've had a mental blank.
So
I don't know. It'll come to me. But there's the Wyndham Clark.
Wyndham.
That's what it is.
So LA Country Club. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's got a lot to do with Wyndham Clark's journey and how he achieved the what he's achieved. And yeah, just that whole process around mind. Well, it's called mind game. So around his mental attitude towards winning.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah. So
I'm only at step 3 of my 4-step strategy too, by the
what are we, almost half an hour in? Excellent.
way. Close. So I like step 3. I like the make yourself accountable step. I just think it's so important, and I absolutely think it's one that people don't even think about, and definitely often don't do. Or if they do, maybe sometimes do it unknowingly, rather than strategically. But I also think get shot down sometimes by the people that they confide in, for all those things we just talked about. Step 4. This is an interesting one as well, which has come, for me at least, it's become more and more something that's come out as we've gone through this pilgrimage, Andy Walker, and that is to focus as much, if not more, on the journey and the experiences along the way, rather than specifically just the destination. Now, that flies in the face of what I put down as step 1, which was having the goal in the first place. But I don't think when you unpack it, I don't think it does. You need the goal to have a destination. And I think Josh talked about this. You can't have directions to nowhere.
Yes.
But it doesn't stop you from enjoying all of the stopping points and the experiences along the way. And I think that's super important because they continue to keep you motivated and interested. And sometimes, if you're bull-headed about just following in one direction, you miss those cues that you need and the lessons that you need to learn along the way.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think you've got to be grateful for where you are currently, and you've got to be patient with yourself as to where you are along the pilgrimage. I certainly remember reading about Nick Faldo, and when Nick Faldo was growing up, he loved the solitude, I guess you'd call it, of being on the driving range and just figuring out his own swing and being in his own mindset, and just that where he was at that particular time. He said he absolutely loved it. He loved that whole journey from going from just being, a golfer with ambitions through to basically being world class. And then obviously he then broke down his swing again and did the same thing with David Ledbetter. And he
for something to do.
He said he enjoyed that just as much as he enjoyed winning the majors, which is pretty amazing.
I think there's something in that, and I think you probably have to. Yeah. Because if you don't enjoy all of the hard yards and all of the work in the background, you're never going to have the successes. Or if you do, it's probably fleeting and it might be a one-off. But, to have that longevity of career, I think you have to enjoy all of the things that you have to do that nobody sees, that aren't the glory moments. You have to enjoy that because that's really what you spend the majority of your time doing.
Yeah. And it's also about, those hard yards in the practice. And I remember talking about this in one of our first episodes in the book, Talent is Overrated, the concept of deliberate practice, in that deliberate practice is not easy. In fact, it's one of the hardest things that you can do day in, day out. But you've also got to have a sense of satisfaction and want to put those hard yards in.
Was this the book where the author was talking about that they were in love with the idea of being a successful professional sports person, but realised that they, at one point, that they didn't love all of the hard work that had to be done to eventually do it? It may be a different book. I might be thinking of a different book.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't recall that being part of the book. I certainly think that he's had experiences in that regard, but I don't recall that he was.
No, I think it's a different. I think it's a different one. I can't remember which one it is at the moment, but it's the same sort of idea that you've got to love the process. Like you talk about, say some of your great swimmers, as an example, or long distance runners, or those sorts of things. They're never going to achieve what they want to achieve in Olympic Games if they haven't loved, doing all of the training and getting the Ks under their legs or their arms in the pool.
Well, I mean, you look at, say, a sprinter at the Olympics, for instance. Now, they've got meets and everything in between, but they train for 4 years for 10 seconds.
hopefully about 9.8 if they're going to win gold. But I take your point. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's just, you can't, for that fleeting moment of adjuration and potential success, you have to.
You've got to love the training track.
Absolutely. You have to.
Yeah. Yeah. So there you go, pilgrims. Get out there and train. That's the message. Well, it's only one of the messages, but I don't know. How do you feel about that? It's a fairly simple 4-step approach. I wonder as well, like there's a few other elements you could probably throw in there around prioritization, perspective, reality of what you might be able to do and what you can't do. Some of those other sorts of things are probably all relevant.
I probably see that as part of the process, though. I think part of that process, you've got your outcome, which is your step one. Your process, you've got to, I guess, be able to fit the process into your schedule. So that's where I think you probably need to be. I don't know if realistic is the right word, but you've got to be able to manage your schedule to be able to put that process in. So I sort of see that as part of that second step in order to make step one happen. Step two is sort of a bit of a multi-level. Yeah.
I want to challenge the word realistic.
And it's not something that, there's the first word that came to mind.
I know what you mean. My worry with it is if I go, oh, look, I want to achieve X. I'm going to make the plan, but realistically, I can only do X, Y, and Z, and that's not going to be enough to get me there. So I'm defeated before I begin. I just find realistic drags us back into that, limited thinking phase, because I think part of the challenge here is you want to go, let's challenge what I think is realistic.
Yes.
And stretch those boundaries a little bit and go, actually, is that all I can do? Is there more? Is there more time I can find? It's not always just about time. It might also be about, other things like money and access and some of those things. But like, how can I get creative about trying to do things in a different way, different time set, different level of commitments, etc.? I don't know. But realistic, I find we might set our sights too low.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it's sort of why I hesitated with using the word, because I believe exactly that, 100%, that realistic has a tendency to limit rather than actually be what you can truly achieve if you just push those boundaries a bit.
It's probably why we're both doing this show together, because we kind of have a similar outlook on that.
May have something to do with it.
Maybe. Because if we were being super realistic about things, there's so many reasons why we can't do what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
So many.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's what stopped us to this point. So that's the whole thing. Anyway, look, that I think there's a lot there. Hopefully that gives a few people something to think about.
Yeah. Certainly it's given me a bit to think about. I need to go and unpack that a little bit myself, to be honest with you.
I didn't think we had such wisdom in us, Andy Walker, for that conversation. That's
who knew I had so many quotes in my head.
Far out. That's next level. I look forward to listening to that. That's going to be good. Might have learned something from ourselves. Anyway, speaking of goals, there's a bit of a goal, and there's a big story looming. Okay, and that is in, where are we now? The middle of March, in a couple of weeks. It's probably 2 or 3 weeks. The Macquarie Cup. It's our first major tournament of the year, Andy Walker. And I would like to just sort of ask the question, have we got any updates on your preparation?
Yeah, we do. There's actually a couple of updates to my preparation. I had a coaching session during the week.
Well, that is interesting.
So I feel as though that's put me back on the path.
Okay.
I think sort of like last week, I was quite lost. I wasn't quite, after playing a few holes, I think the weekend before, I'd sort of lost my belief a little bit in where I was going, and I was just struggling a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So
Even though
went down and
the week before that, you were at your most confident level that you had been throughout the entire journey. So,
yeah, it's a
not
roller
a straight
coaster.
line. It's not a straight line, ladies and gentlemen.
I feel like I'm an elastic band sometimes, but up all the way up and then snap back
Yeah,
and
yeah. Well, keep doing your
what is
stretching. That's important.
what does Eminem say? Snap back to reality. That's
Wow, Eminem.
who would thought would be quoting Eminem
Eminem.
on the show? Yeah.
At some point, I'm gonna dig through all of this and do a collection of quotes from Andy Walker, because we start. I think the very first one that ever came out was Forrest Gump in episode one, and now we've got to Eminem. Continue. Sorry, I'm just reminiscing.
Yeah. So what I guess the process of that coaching session was, and we've talked about the YouTube video, the life changer, Mike's left foot, which was one of the chasing scratch guys that went to the Titleist Performance Institute, and
great video.
There's go and if you haven't watched the life changer, Mike's left foot, go and watch it. It's really really cool.
Yep.
So that's
basically
basically that was me, right?
Yeah, right.
And the way Joe explained it to me, of course, if you remember like my first lesson, one of the things that we were working on is having a big shoulder turn.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm still working on that, and that's going well, making improvements, but there's still a little bit more work to do.
Mm-hmm.
But then in reading some of Ben Hogan's work and reading a little bit about sort of the downswing, your hips need to move laterally first, and then your hips rotate sort of away from the ball in order to clear for your club head to get through the ball at impact, right?
Yep.
But the problem is, and the problem I had is that, and watching that video, I'm like, okay, well, what I need to do is to, shift slightly laterally at the start and then sort of clear my left side. But golf works in opposites, and I'm sure you're aware that golf works in opposites. So as a right-hander, my dominant side is my left side. As a left-hander, your dominant side would be your right side. Also the case in your downswing when it comes to the momentum that you have in and through your feet, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I was doing is that on the start of the downswing, my momentum was going into my heel in order to shift my hips forward and then rotate. My first momentum is into my heel. Now, what happens when the momentum is going back is your hips actually move forward.
Towards the ball.
Towards the ball, which means that I was
early extending, which is not a great move to have. And from a consistency perspective, just ball goes all over the place. Very, very inconsistent, which is why I was getting those big blocks. Yep. But also at times the snap hook was coming back as well. But I was getting a lot of those big blocks just because my hips, the first movement was actually towards the ball, and my upper body was straightening rather than keeping the same angle as what you would be at address. Interesting.
So what Joe got me to do was my first move on the downswing. She got me to, with my lead foot, my left foot, is for the weight to be going into the front of my foot, so into the toe. And she said, okay, just for the next few swings, I really want you to work hard. The only thing I want you to do is just to get your weight into the front of your lead foot, which I did. And surprisingly, as soon as I did that, my hips just went, just rotated really, really quickly. And my club head speed increased pretty dramatically. I was pretty excited with the amount of club head speed that I was able to generate.
How did you do that? Like, how did you make that move?
It was just a natural, through that first movement of trying to get the weight shifting, that momentum going into my lead like the front
the
of my
ball
lead
of your foot
foot.
into the ball of your foot.
Well, it's even further forward than that. It's really into your toes. Okay. And from there,
So how
what
did you do
happens is,
that bit? How did you get the momentum going into your toes?
well, it's just it is that's your focus. Your focus is on that downswing, getting your foot, trying to move your foot forward in so the momentum's going forward rather than going back and into your heel.
Oh man, I'm confused.
Yeah. So it's interesting because if you watch the first little part of the game changer is the guy from Titleist sitting on the stool. And if you watch what he does, and I missed this bit, I must admit, but I've gone back and watched it just to have a bit of a look. And what he says is that when you push back with your lead foot, you need to be putting the weight mainly into your big toe and sort of the next toe from your big toe. And that's what you push back with. That's what he was pushing the stool back with. So that forward momentum actually creates your backwards momentum with your hips. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I know what you mean because I know the section in that video about the wheelie chair. I think we need a couple of wheelie chairs.
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, look, and if we post this on YouTube, that'd work. I'm not necessarily convinced it's going to work on the podcast, though.
No.
So yeah. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, go and just look up this the YouTube video, the Game Changer Mike's Left Foot.
Yeah.
But
it's on the chasing scratch. Yeah.
Yeah. But basically, the concept is that, you know, in the game of opposites, with your left, well, in my case, your lead foot, left foot moving, the momentum going forward, that means the momentum in your hips is going to rotate your left hips and clear your left hips back.
Right.
Yeah. So from there, that basically eliminates the early extension, and club path just, well, it was still slightly inside out, but club path was on a much better path than what it was with the early extension.
So, golf swing solved? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, look, I've been given a few drills to be able to work on the feel of that momentum in my swings. So again, I've been working through some of these drills and interestingly, one of those drills is the step drill, which is what I was doing with the stack workout. So you know,
careful.
Yeah. It's without a club though, so I should be all right. So my little accident with the stack and the Garmin G80 was because of the step swing with the stack. So it's a similar move, but without a golf club. It's basically moving towards the forward towards the line of where you want to hit the ball, but your momentum and your weight is going into your lead toe, which then creates with your hips a rotation back, basically clearing your hips.
Yeah,
so try it.
Yeah, maybe set the video up on that one and drop that.
Yeah, it's probably not a bad
Facebook
idea.
page.
Yeah. Okay, that's probably not a bad idea. Yeah, just to explain that a little bit more.
Time for a reel. Do us a nice little educational, instructional video, Andy Walker.
It's not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. Yeah, I can do that.
Get that one out there. Let's get into the instruction world.
So basically the two things that I work on, continue to work on my full shoulder turn, but then making sure that momentum at the start of my downswing is going into the front of my lead foot, so that I eliminate that early extension and get that rotation in my hips.
Yeah. It is the goal to be chasing. I've been trying to work on that foot hip relationship. It isn't easy.
One of the worst things you can do if that first movement is to have the momentum and the weight going into your heel. So that leads to your early extension.
Yeah. I'll have to feel that and have a look at that.
Yep.
Very good. Any updates on your preparation, Andy Walker? How are the competition rounds coming along?
Yeah, they're not really. It's been
controversial.
Yeah, a little bit controversial, but
if I go back an episode or so, I think that you were casting some aspersions in my direction for not playing competition rounds.
I was, but look, it's and I think about Josh Nichols' tweet that we talked about last week in being able to fit everything in, all of your responsibilities, because basically there were four things that I wanted for this week, and I just can't fit all those four things in. So it's my wife and my anniversary this week, so we're going away on. Thank you. We're going away on Friday for the weekend. So there's one work day actually I do admin for my business on Saturday, so it's really 1.5 work days that have gone. Secondly, is that so in my business, I use quite a lot of software, and I've got accreditations and certifications that I've got to maintain. And on Wednesday this week, there is an accreditation, a certification training that I really need to go to maintain my certification up at Newcastle. So
this is a classic example of what we were talking about before, of your obligations getting in the way of your dreams. 2.5
days, which leaves me 3 working days to be able to do client work. Now, I looked at it, and I looked at my schedule, and I looked at the work that I'm really committed to, and I couldn't fit half a day into play golf. Like, something was going to have to give. So it comes back to just trying to fit everything in. And I guess the thing at the lowest point of lowest rung of the ladder, because it doesn't earn money, is golf.
So as much as I want to leap all over this and say, Andy Walker, it's just not good enough. Okay. Unfortunately, where I think I need to go with this is a 5th pillar of the strategic plan.
Right. Okay.
And that is flexibility.
Is this the profound?
It might be. But it's flexibility. Okay. And it's realizing when sometimes you're not going to be able to do all of the things that you set out to do to achieve your goal with your plan that you've made yourself accountable for. But just because you miss it on that one occasion, it doesn't mean that you have to then forget everything. Okay. It's just, yes, we can make an adjustment this week. We can, make a little bit of a change, and we can get back on track. Flexibility, I think, is another pillar.
Yeah. So look, I'm still going to play in the comp next week. So we're talking about I was going to play in the comp this week and then play in the comp next week. So I'm still playing in the comp next week. Week after, that's the week I'm coming out to Dubbo, so I'm going to struggle to be able to play in the comp that week. But I still plan on getting a comp round in between now and the Macquarie Cup. And
that is exciting.
And I do hope another short game putting practice session as well, because again, Saturday, because we're going away for the whole weekend, the Saturday short game and putting practice session, that's not going to happen either. So there's this week's been a little bit of a write-off when it comes to golf, but look, it just comes back to that fitting it all in and those challenges that we've got.
It does, and it's not easy. It's not easy. We continue to try and find a way to do it, but we keep the big goal, and we'll make it to the Macquarie Cup, and we'll obviously.
The positive is that I have been going out to the High Performance Centre very regularly, like multiple times a day.
Question.
Yeah. And that's sort of been the saving grace. And we've covered this, I know, before, but it just given what's happened this week, and look, I look at it, and I could say disappointing that I'm not going to be able to get out and play in the comp, and I'm not going to be able to have my short game practice session. But at the end of the day, I think you've got to just look at it and go, it is what it is.
And it is.
I'm going to have a great weekend, with my wife celebrating our anniversary. So that's going to be amazing. And at the end of the day, what I've got there out in my garage, being the high performance center, is it doesn't take over from playing in the comp. There's no substitute for playing competition golf. But at least it's a touch point. It gets me out there, gets me practicing what I've been taught last week in my coaching session, and it just maintains that contact with golf. I feel as though I can still progress my swing and my golf game a little bit this week. Not as much as I'd like to, but it's still a step forward.
It's definitely better than nothing. I think we both benefited from that. I've certainly been making use of the High Performance Centre. And not only the High Performance Centre, but also the High Performance Centre with the launch monitor, Andy Walker.
Oh, yes. Yeah, you did send me some stats with the launch monitor during the week, which was quite interesting.
Was interesting. I think we'll touch on that in a moment. But one of the things that I learned, and this goes back actually, this goes back to Christmas time, when the box of radar capture technology Pro V1s turned up.
Oh, yes.
Which I've got to admit, embarrassing as it is, in March, it's the first time that I've busted them out to actually have a go. And I'd forgotten about them because they were in a corner in the garage. And so I got the Garmin R10 out and was hitting a few of the normal, the TaylorMade TP5s that I generally use into the net, measuring things. I was thinking, oh, geez, like my distance seems down on the launch monitor by about probably 5 to 10 meters. Seemed down with each club. I was just hitting irons. Oh, that's a bit bizarre. And then it dawned on me. I went, I've got the other golf balls. I'm going to use those and see if it makes a difference. It did. It brought all of the numbers up to where they are that I know them to be out on the course, which I measure through, as you're aware, through ShotScope. So they actually did make a difference, an absolute difference with the accuracy of the data that the launch monitor was spitting out, the radar capture technology ball. So Titleist, you're welcome, free plug, but they absolutely did work. So that was good. So what I sent you was my 7-iron stats, which you then sent me your 7-iron stats.
Yes, from the coaching session, from the coaching session.
Which we have also had a look at versus what's online from the PGA Tour averages for 7-irons as well. I think this is interesting because I've got a little table here that I can look at. So my 7-iron, I had an 81 mile per hour club head speed with a pretty good smash factor. Actually, it was up at 1.4 ish.
Nice,
which was giving
that's really good for a 7-iron.
Yes, thank you.
Because the PGA guys, they were like 1.3 high 1.3s,
137 or something like that. I was just over 1.4, so I was flushing it. It also probably helps that I was hitting it off a synthetic turf mat and not off the grass.
And we had that conversation as well when we were exchanging the stats. Is that I'm still not convinced that hitting it off a artificial turf mat is comparable to hitting it off grass.
It's not. It's clearly not. So we've got an advantage on that. If you want to delve into Newton's divot and all those other fantastic concepts, then you'll understand the physics behind why that is. But anyway,
and again, not wanting to sort of say anything negative towar's.
We'll leave it to others. We'll leave it to others.
We'll just leave it to others to get into that. I just think that. It's sort of like the golfing machine, right? And that's the Bryson DeChambeau model.
Yeah. It's too much information.
Look, I like to be technically correct, as we've covered, but there's also I think there's a massive element of feel in golf. It's not all technical, and there are things that just can't be measured by stats. There's an X factor there, and there's an element of feel.
Yeah. So we'll leave all of that aside, but suffice to say that we probably get a little bit of assistance off the synthetic turf mat versus hitting it off the fairway. So 81 mile per hour club head speed to 115 mile per hour ball speed. I was pretty happy with that conversion rate.
Because that's pretty close to PGA. isn't it?
We'll come to them. We'll come to them.
Yeah, okay.
That was giving me a average carry distance. This is over 10 shots, so it's reasonable data set. Not massive, but reasonable. Giving me an average carry distance of 146 metres. Total with roll, well, I suppose guesstimated rollout for the algorithm that it puts in because I hit it into a net. Total distance of 153. My max in those 10 shots was a carry distance of 152 metres for a total of 160. And look, that's more or less what I'm doing on the course. I've hit the odd 7-iron, I suppose, wind assisted, over 160 on the fly. But generally speaking, if I was looking at all things being equal, normal conditions being somewhere between 145 to 150 out, I'm pulling a 7-iron every day of the week.
Yep.
So, I think that's pretty accurate. Your stats, Andy Walker, which I've also got here, which we can compare. Club head speed of 88.2 miles per hour. So you've got me by 7.2. I'm not sure what your smash factor was. It's obviously slightly lower because the ball speed was 121.1. So still 6 mile per hour higher, but we haven't carried all of that club head speed to ball speed.
I think it was like 1.36 or 1.37.
Right. Which is, again, pretty good. Carry of 154.8. Are these averages, by the way? I'm assuming that they probably are. For a total distance of 160.9. So not too dissimilar. So let's go to the Tour Pro, the PGA Tour Pro.
Yep.
So this, again, wide variety, longer hitters, shorter hitters, et cetera, et cetera. So this is an average.
Yes, it's the average.
This is the average. Tour Pro with 7-iron, club head speed of 90 miles per hour. So only, a very small amount above yours. It's 9 miles an hour above mine, so that's a bit. A ball speed, though, this is interesting. This is translating to a ball speed of 120 miles per hour. So you've got them covered on smash factor.
Wow. Okay.
But synthetic mat.
Yeah. True. Yeah.
That's your difference. And they've got a carry distance here, average carry distance of 172 yards, which equates to 156 metres.
Okay, so they've got me a little bit on distance.
Yeah, 1.20 metre, Andy Walker.
It makes all the difference. That extra metre
could be the difference of flying the hazard or not.
Exactly. Exactly.
But I thought that was really interesting. So with 7-iron in hand, you're not far off. But we'd established that with the driver distance anyway earlier in the series.
Yeah, look, I mean, my driver distance from an average Tour Pro isn't, and that's the PGA Tour. I think I was smack back on average with the senior, the Champions Tour. However, I was a little bit under the PGA Tour. I think I was around. Yeah, I think I was around the Aaron Baddeley-ish. Club head speed and distance.
Not so much putting.
No, I'm. Well, I use a completely different technique to what he does.
Yeah, that's true. So anyway, I thought that was really interesting. So there is a difference, obviously, between our two swing speeds and distances with the 7-iron, which I think, that is true when we have a round of golf together.
But I mean, that's I think a lot of that is just the fact that I've played more golf than what you have. I'm sure if we got into the cricket nets, then it's going to reverse dramatically.
Yeah, maybe not anymore. It's been a while.
Yeah, no, look, we had a parents versus kids game after the last training session. My son's cricket season, we had a parents versus kids game, and I went out there to bat and just struggled a little bit. I had a couple of good shots, but not necessarily sure the bat speed's there.
It's a tough game. Anyway, it's a golf show. So, Yeah, I think there's a bit in that. I think they're encouraging numbers. I also think I wouldn't have known what my numbers were, really going back 6 months, but I'm pretty confident that they've gotten better because I know I'm hitting the ball better and I know that I'm hitting the ball a bit further. So I have no doubt that that's improved. And I think with a few of those swing tips that I got from the great man Scotty Fisher,
yes,
that there should be a few more continued improvements. And if I can sort out the toe versus heel tip that you provided on the front foot, then who knows? Who knows? Who knows? None of this talks about how straight it goes.
That is true. That is true. But that's the outcome, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the outcome. So we talk about process and that focus on process and making sure the process is right and the outcome should take care of itself.
Yep. Now, Andy Walker, there's only one other little thing that I wanted to raise in tonight's episode, and that is Sunday. Sunday just gone, I was fortunate enough, as we mentioned in the previous episode, to have a round of golf in the Pro-Am for the New South Wales Women's Open in the Regional Qualifier Series. Fantastic day out with a couple of very, very good blokes, friends of the show, who were kind enough to invite me into their group. We played with an excellent professional golfer from the Republic of South Africa.
Oh, nice.
Michelle Swanepoel. She had an incredibly good swing. Just always impresses me. Like, it's the second time I've had a chance to play in a Pro-Am with the female pros, and just the technical proficiency that they possess with, with squeezing the efficiency of everything physically that they can out of their swing, I find remarkable. And it really was quality. Just the ball striking, consistency of ball striking, and the quality of short game was absolutely something that was worth watching. So it was a lot of fun. I think it would be remiss of me not to mention, because I know friends of the show, my playing partners, will probably enjoy hearing about this. Andy Walker, I confess, not my best day off the tee. Hitting the ball solidly quite a long way for a total of one fairway hit over 18 holes.
Ooh. That's a tough day.
Wasn't the best.
Mind you, I do understand how you feel, because that's sort of how I am feeling of late with my driver and 3-wood or whatever club I seem to pull out of the bag on the tee. I struggle to hit a fairway. So yeah, completely understand and sympathise with that.
Yeah. So it wasn't my best day off the tee. It's fair. Not quite sure what on earth was going on, really. But like a lot of them, they weren't big misses, but they were misses by enough to cause a few problems, i.e. trees. But happy to say the short game was in pretty good form. I found 3 bunkers, 2 sand saves and 1 almost sand save, but the putt stayed on the lip of the hole. So I was actually quite happy with that. Putting continues to actually be quite strong. So I think that change to not caring so much about the outcomes actually made a big difference. But yes, hopefully next round the tee shot woes sort themselves out. I really don't know what the hell was going on there, but anyway, we'll figure that one out.
Well, the thing is that it's basically straight into the Macquarie Cup. From here, you're not going to get another chance to really look at what that's going to.
I will. I won't get another
competition.
I won't get another comp round, but I will get another. I'm sure I'll get another couple of 9 holes here or there to fine tune things. But I mean, that's the amazing thing, because the 9 holes that I squeezed in last week, driving was pumping. Some of the best, probably one of the best 9 holes of tee shots that I've had in a long time. Reality is, yes, playing in front of a professional golfer, there might have been an element of pressure. I don't know. I wouldn't have said that I thought that I was feeling that, but, it can change the game a little bit from having a social round and, just a practice 9.
But it is really interesting. It is really interesting because I had that same experience through February in that when I went out and played on a Saturday afternoon, there were a couple of 9 holes where I just absolutely striped it and felt really good about where my game was. And the comp round that I played, I just played appallingly bad.
Yeah.
And it just seemed like chalk and cheese to what my practice rounds were to what I was like out in the comp. And I didn't feel really any different, but the result was very different. So I don't know. It might be a subconscious thing that, yeah, there's something that just doesn't quite work. We, may not have just put that amount of time into, for the swing to be able to work under that comp round pressure.
It could be that. It absolutely could be that. It probably is that. It could also just be the wonderful variability of our golf games as handicap amateur golfers.
Could be that.
Who knows? Time will tell. I still harbour high hopes of a victory over you and as many other people as possible in the Macquarie Cup. We shall see. I can tell you this much because it's the same course that I played on the weekend as what we will be playing at the Macquarie Cup.
Yep.
It is in immaculate condition.
Nice.
So assuming that it remains that way over the next few weeks, which I see no reason to imagine that it won't, but the greens were rolling and some of the best greens to putt on that I think I've had the joy of putting on in a long, long time. So I think you will thoroughly enjoy that day out, Andy Walker.
So just a clarification, because you did just mention that you were hoping to, have a, better end score than myself and a lot of other people playing in the Macquarie Cup. Are we talking gross or net?
Oh, I'm talking gross.
Okay. The gauntlet's been thrown.
Oh, yeah. And there is no reason for me to not harbour such lofty ambitions.
Oh, good luck with that.
Thanks. Good luck to you too.
So genuine.
Yeah. Oh, it's all on. It's all on. I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's only 4 or 5 shots difference on handicap. So if I'm going to beat you, I'm just going to have to beat you off the stick anyway, really. So why not? Oh, near enough. May as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, just put that one in your back pocket. See how you feel.
Yeah. Look, I reckon there's a reasonable chance that you may beat me in one or the other rounds off the stick. I mean, you that has happened before.
Yeah.
I've over 36 holes. A 9 marker beating a 4 or 5 marker. I mean, look, it's not impossible. I'm not saying it's impossible, but yeah, I'd say unlikely. Let's just say that.
See what the Pilgrims think.
Yeah.
Whose team are you on? Oh, that's a good Twitter poll right there. Anyway, Andy Walker, it is getting late, yes. And I think we're getting pretty close to the mark for this episode. Geez, we've covered some ground again, though.
We have a lot of. I didn't actually have a lot on my little sort of snapshot of what I wanted to talk about, but certainly we delved into some subjects
we've covered some ground.
Just came up.
I think the Missing Links Golf Show Player of the Week, or at least Golfer of the Week award this week goes to KJ Choi for his inspirational quote. Not necessarily for anything specifically on the course, but certainly for his inspirational quote that has inspired quite a lot of discussion in this episode. So nice work, KJ. And for everybody else out there, all you pilgrims that are out there listening, joining us on this fantastic pilgrimage towards better golf to uncover the missing links to better golf along the way. Please get on board. We would love to hear from you on our Facebook page, on the Missing Links Golf Show on Facebook. Drop a comment, drop a question, any thoughts, maybe some videos of your own swings as well for us to have a look at. Why not? That'd be a bit of fun. Please do that, or find us on Instagram, Missing Links Golf. I think we're called on Instagram. Potentially. I'm sure you'll find us if you look hard enough. On X, we're on X, Andy Walker.
We are on X.
We're on X. Do you know what our Twitter handle is on X, Andy Walker? Do you remember off the top of your head?
Isn't it TLMGS?
The link's missing.
I don't know.
Maybe TML.
TML Golf Show.
That's the one. It's at TML Golf Show on X. the artist formerly known as Twitter.
Yeah, because I do know that Instagram, it is at the Missing Links Golf Show.
There you go. Is it?
Yeah, because I set that one up. You set the Twitter up and Facebook, but I set Instagram.
It's an absolute shambles, Pilgrims. Honestly, if anyone's got any social media skills, please reach out.
Because we don't, man.
Anyway, find us somewhere. Drop us a line. Say hello. You know what else you could do? If you're not big on social media, you could go. If you listen to this podcast on iTunes, you could get on iTunes and give us a review, 5 stars. Tell us something that you like about the show, something you learned. Spotify, you can do the same. Google Podcasts, you can probably do the same. You can drop a review out there. And the other thing you can do, which would be awesome, is share the show with a friend. Because at the moment, Andy Walker, I'm going to give you an interesting update here. Hang on a sec. We're looking for information live.
Does it have to be a friend that
you can
Pilgrims share it with?
If you've got a nemesis like Ernie Els, for example.
Nemesis of the show.
Yeah.
Number one.
If you have a nemesis, you can share it with them, because sharing is important. And currently, we are going out to the following countries. I'm going to list them for you.
Okay. Yep.
Australia, goes without saying.
Yep.
United States of America. Canada. Japan. Singapore. The UK, specifically England. Germany.
Really? Have we got a... We're in Europe.
Oh, yeah. We're in Europe. Because not only UK, also Germany.
Wow.
Yeah, Frankfurt, Germany.
Because we talked about that
we did for quite some time.
Yeah. So we're back to Europe.
Yep. Our first listener in Germany from Frankfurt. And our first in the UK from the county of Shropshire.
Ah, Shropshire.
Shropshire, yeah.
I did actually go to Shropshire I only had one pilgrimage over to the UK, and I did visit Shropshire.
Yep. So there you go. UK, Mexico, which we've covered ad nauseum, and also New Zealand, our choice friends across the ditch. So
play good cricket, apparently.
Yeah. Won't be defined by their results. I quite like that. No. They're all about process and not about outcome. So congratulations to the Black Caps on a great series. Not sure what the result was, 2-0 Australia. But anyhow, it was a good series, and they play the game in the right spirit.
Do you think they feel as though they've had a moral victory?
Oh, look, it's a hard one to answer. Because obviously there was a lot of moral cricket getting played over in the subcontinent recently as well. And to our friends in Shropshire, congratulations to Ben Stokes and co for really not being pushovers on the way to their 4-1 series defeat to India. Big fan of that particular performance. But anyway, we digress, Andy Walker, because we're here for a golf show, not a cricket show, even though I've been talking about that all night. And I think, we've talked about where to find us. All those sorts of things. I don't know, Andy Walker, is there any other message that you've got for our pilgrims?
Yeah, just rock out, pilgrims.